I'm Donald Lim. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Udena Corporation and the Chief Operating Officer of Dito CME Holdings. I'm very lucky to be living in an age where people recognize me, they see my chinky eyes, and they know I'm Chinese. But I don't get to feel any discrimination. I think sometimes I also have an advantage. They would have that assumption I'm better in math, I'm better in certain things. I'm more entrepreneurial. I can speak Chinese, I can speak Mandarin also. Now with my job in Dito, for example, when we talk to our Chinese partners, I can speak their language, I can understand them. I'm very happy to really have grown up in an environment where I have a good learning and understanding. I think the Chinese-Filipino culture, especially for those Chinoys here, very important for you to always recognize where you come from, where your roots are. And because if you know where you come from, you would also know and have a better appreciation of the world. And I suggest that every Chinoy would take advantage. Catch me on Chinoy TV Presents, Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Rosen Talti and I am a fashion designer from Manila. I am a second generation born Chinese Filipino. I actually grew up with a predominantly mixed language household. My father is actually in the car industry while my mother handles the family office supplies. One thing that my parents really taught me from the very beginning, and especially because when I was younger, I was bullied for looking differently from the rest of my classmates, was to really value my own individuality. I feel extremely humbled just because I feel like I bring in a different element into the community of, showing how having a creative expression can succeed and can be a viable life career for anyone who's interested or who has any sort of predilection to the arts and the music and the food and all of these, creative outlets. Catch me on Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Brian Liu. I'm the E-commerce and Business Transformation Director of the Pen Shop Group. I was in Cebu until about 2008, until I was about 18 before college. I went abroad for college. Growing up as a Chinese and Filipino, we always had to respect and practice both traditions, specifically for the Chinese traditions. So we shared a lot of practices and elements, both for Filipino and Chinese. They brought us up to be both Chinese and Filipino and still citizens of the world, to always have an open mind, to always look abroad and look outside and not just confine ourselves to the Filipino or the Chinese culture.
Hi, I'm Brandon Liu. I'm the Associate Brand Manager of the Pen Shop Group. So I'm fortunate that I have very cool parents. My mom's the adventurous type, and I think I'm more like her actually. But in some aspects, I'm like my dad, where I think you see it in the way that the business is being run, that things can be very rigid and things can be very disciplined. And I appreciate that about him because I learned a lot about discipline from him. All of the cultures that we were exposed to, all of the new things that we learned about from different people was bringing global mindset to us in the family. And it helped open our minds and become more open about things in general.
I think it's great that we have a show like this that we can share our Chinoy experiences and stories with. Hopefully even inspire some other Chinoys out there with our brand story and with how we started as a family business.
It feels great to be a part of a global exchange of ideas and not just limiting to the Filipino-Chinese community, but to a broader community too. Watch us on Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi there, I'm Chinkitan. I'm considered as the Pambansang Wealth Coach here in the Philippines. I was born and raised here in Tondo, Manila. So whenever I go out on the street, going to school, I would hear yung mga racial slur, like for example, in Chick, Teho, Chekwa, diba, Singkit. And it has been always in my mind that I need to prove myself towards others. I really work so hard. I turn night into day, day into night. I sold everything that I can get my hands onto. I really am so thankful and grateful because of those hardships. I turned my pain into my gain. I turned my scars into stars rather than becoming a victim of this situation. I'm proud to be Filipino-Chinese, and at the same time, I'm proud to be part of this campaign. It will promote the culture of the Filipino and the Chinese. There are a lot of good things that we can learn from the Filipino, and likewise, there are a lot of good things that we can learn from the Chinese. Catch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
My name is Justin Uy. I'm the founder and the president of Pro Food International Corporation. We are 8 boys and 3 girls. We call ourselves a basketball team. My father was actually born in Leyte, but he went back to China at 7 years old because my grandpa passed away, and come back to the Philippines at 14 years old. My mom is born in Cebu, and she is just a housewife to take care of all of us. Basically, we grow up under our mom watching us. I came from a pure-blooded Chinese family, but raised up in a Filipino way. So by blood, I'm Chinese, but by culture, I'm a Filipino. For me, it was an advantage because I have 2 cultures mixed together. I'm quite happy to be part of it. There's no difference to be a Chinoy than to be a Filipino. Please catch me on Chinoy TV, present Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
I'm Beverly Lorraine Chuaho. I'm the Director for Health Promotion Bureau and the Disease Prevention and Control Bureau at the Department of Health. Growing up, we rented an apartment. We get brought to school by my aunt who lives with us. We always would have baon, not in money, but in food. That's really because it's part of pagtitipid. I also will remember that we don't have birthday parties when we were younger, except when I guess we turned 1 year old. And my parents would just say that it's better to share what we have for others. That was really the first few lessons of, I say, charity or generosity during that time that I learned from them. That it's not just about us, but really about the people around us. I'm very privileged to be part of this campaign, but also very grateful for this opportunity to promote the work that we do. Watch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
My name is Bonnie Tan. I'm the head coach of the Letran Knights. We are 7 siblings in our family, 2 girls and 5 boys. Nasa gitna ako. And typical Chinese family na natutulog sa isang room, yung magkakapatid. Once in a while, nandun yung cousins namin na nag-sleep over din, kami sa kanila. My parents are supportive sa mga plans ng mga anak niya. Especially to my late father na mahilig manood sa basketball, especially PBA. So, yun, including my atsis plays basketball. Lahat kami magkakapatid, naglalarong basketball. So, yun yung nag-mold sa akin to become what I am today. I feel blessed and honored to be part of this campaign, and I hope I can inspire more Chinoys to be part of Philippine sports. Catch me on Chinoy TV, presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
I'm Coach Golden Monteverde. I'm the head coach of the UP Fighting Maroons. Growing up, we were introduced to mga Chinese beliefs, and we were sent to Chinese schools. Yung mom and dad ko is not that type na, would really be strict when you do something. Although, syempre, they would tell you in different ways. Growing up, I was not a perfect, child. Along the way I really appreciate yung parents ko kasi they never gave up on me, and I felt that whatever I wanted, they just supported me. Eventually, when my parents knew that I was really into coaching, they would really support me. Even my siblings would support me in coaching. One of the greatest lessons that I learned at 17 through basketball was, to never give up. Our coach would always instill to us discipline, and whatever happens during a game, just as long as you know that, you're giving your best, and you're fine. I feel blessed to be part of this documentary, and to be able to express yung sarili ko or sa art ko. Catch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
I'm Slater Young. I'm the CEO of Lightblock, and I also have my real estate company, Sky Estates, and I also do content creation. I grew up in Cebu, but parang yung culture namin is very province. My dad came from Dipolog, so very province vibes. We live in a very Chinese-style home wherein 2 stories apartment, and then sa baba would be the offices. Dun yung office ng construction company ng dad ko, and then yung bedrooms would be at the top. So I think it's a very Chinese thing, no? So very simple lang talaga yung upbringing namin.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Uy Young, and I am a content creator. My parents were like a typical Chinese Filipino set of parents. I can't go out of the gate of school unless my driver's there, like super strict and traditional. The family was super private. So this whole time I realized, now that I'm married and I have a different, family, I lived in a bubble pala all my life. I think that's true for a lot of Chinoys. We hope that other people who are Chinoys also can see this video and also be inspired na, there are other Chinoys out there like you.
It's important to know that why we are the way we are.
Yes.
Maybe hopefully inspire other people and just have a little bit of a takeaway from our journey as being Chinoys. Catch us on Chinoy TV Presents
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart, only on CNN Philippines.
I'm Kenneth Cabonpue, and I'm an industrial designer. I grew up into a sort of pseudo-traditional Chinese family. My father was a traditional Chinese businessman, and my mother was working always from the house. She was a designer who built furniture literally from our backyard. Every night before going to bed, she would read stories of fairy tales and different stories from faraway lands. After I drifted off to sleep with these stories, the next morning would find me wanting to recreate these stories using the materials that I found. Since I grew up in the Philippines, everything that I know, my inspiration, my whole history, my culture, everything that I do is inspired by the Philippines. I feel very honored and feel very proud to be part of a campaign to try to rediscover and find out what is it that makes a Chinoy. Watch me on Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders is brought to you by Doña Maria Brown Rice, my kind of rice from SL Agritech. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities.
My first job was with Burger King. I learned the kitchen. I learned to become a marketing person. And then after that, I was taking up my MBA side by side. And then I moved to the Inquirer, and I was head of marketing. So that time, my position was not too bad. And my dad said, after like 4 or 5 years in corporate, he said, don't come back anymore because you're doing well and I cannot afford you. I'm Donald Lim. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Udena Corporation and the Chief Operating Officer of Dito CME Holdings. Because I'm in the corporate space, I'm very lucky to be living in an age where people recognize me, they see my chinky eyes and they know I'm Chinese. I don't get to feel any discrimination. I think sometimes I also have an advantage. They would have that assumption I'm better in math, I'm better in certain things. I'm more entrepreneurial. So I think it's very true in many sense because I can speak Chinese, I can speak Mandarin also. Now with my job in Dito, for example, when we talk to our Chinese partners, I can speak their language, I can understand them. I grew up in Divisoria, so it's very normal for me to really grow up in the family business. So it's a very tightly run household. For us, I have 2 younger brothers. We're extremely disciplined. We followed all the rules. Even the time we have to be really sleeping by 9:30, at most 10 p.m. We have to be up by 6 a.m. So things like that. It's a very tightly run by my mom. When you talk about discipline, even, for example, the grades are very important to us. Everything has to be a line of 9 or a perfect score. She would always remind us that because we are not from a rich family, even my dad started his business from 10,000 pesos that he loaned from my uncle, and he was able to grow that business. And he says, and we will be defined by that. We will have to start from scratch. We will work hard, and that's the only way for you to succeed. I cannot even remember in my entire, from pre-nursery all the way to college, I cannot even remember if I had an absent, if I was absent in a class, right? So even when I was in college, so now at work, 20 years working already, I cannot even remember when I really had a leave, which is bad actually. Right, so I think for my entire career, I've never taken a VL or a sick leave. When I was in college, we were in our 3rd year. We were asked to have what we call a minor. So in some cases, major ang tawag, but then in Ateneo kasi it's called minor. What do you want to focus on? And that time, it was very obvious because I like numbers, and I like that time I like to play the stock market. So I said automatically it's finance. Right? But that time there was another offering marketing. I said, I don't understand what marketing is. I want to avoid it. But my mom was very insistent. It was also very good insight from my mom because what she didn't know, actually, she said marketing is all about sales. And then I began to realize that in marketing, when people said, I want to go into marketing, they do not like numbers. But in reality, marketing is all numbers. When I teach my students, I always say, if people ask me what is marketing, I'll say very simple. Marketing is spending money to earn more money. When I graduated from college, it was very tough. It was again the '97 financial crisis. I graduated in '98, so it was at its peak. I thought that time we were told that time that if you graduated from the Ateneo, you will always have a job, which wasn't true. So one CV that I printed, I photocopied 100 times, and I walked around Buendia, Ayala, Ortigas, and I was just shooting my resumes in either the mailbox, or I go to the Sinong HR. Who's your HR? Can I meet with them? I'll just give them my CV. No? So there were 100 resumes. When I requested that I will meet the HR, no HR met me. So I didn't even know what happened to them. No? After some months, I was able to get an offer from Burger King. No? I said, marketing, I would like to take on a marketing role. And the president said, no, you can't. You have to start in operations and you have to understand how the restaurant is being run before you can really do marketing. So my first job is really being cooking burgers, being a cashier, all around, and understanding the store operations. But that was a very good experience because even up to now, I've always been very adamant that all my marketing people who are now trained under me has to undergo operations experience. You cannot execute, you cannot strategize if you have never been on ground with any of your business. Marketing, as we all know, is all about going down to the trenches and interacting with customers and also understanding how operations work. So I had to do a very different route, which was very good because I really know that I came from a very, very sheltered family. So when I was in operations, I began to understand also why a crew has to work and then has to go to school and they don't have a job. So that time when I was in Burger King, I decided to take up my MBA already. I was taking up in what we call an offshore program. So it's Murdoch University. It's an Australian school. And they would fly in the teachers here in Makati, so to teach us. I was very lucky to get an Australian education. And at the same time, my seatmate that time was the senior vice president for the Inquirer. We got very close because we would be almost teammates. We were always early for class. And he said, I don't know what will happen to your career. If you want something more stable, why don't you join me here in the Inquirer? My first job was classifieds. So I was selling obituaries. I was selling the job market, recruitment. But it was, again, very good experience because that time, again, because of my Burger King experience, I immediately went down to my sales team, lahat ng punerarya, all the funeral parlors I visited. But because of the training of on-ground and understanding what they need, what they want, what my customers want, I was able to, in one way or form, give them the perfect product that would suit their needs. After my Inquirer stint, I was hired to be the CEO of EAH Corporation. That was my jump into digital. And that time, my bosses were all Chinese stockbrokers. So they're Chinoy stockbrokers, so extremely good in their craft. But they do not understand the tech side, the digital side of it. We were selling websites, we were selling a lot of digital marketing solutions. But on the other side, I was trying to have a balancing act, really a CEO job at 28 years old, to understand the financials. So I was forced outside of my comfort zone because I was in marketing. Marketing is about the flair, the PowerPoint presentations. And they taught me how to present all Excel naman, right? And why there is that beauty there. It was the early days of digital, and so we were like prophets in the desert. We were preaching everyone should go digital and no one would. They know that it's important, but they would say, yeah, it's not a priority. And even if you fast forward in 2015, it's still like that. I think it was only in 2020 when COVID happened, when everyone was forced to go to digital because they had no choice. So it was very hard. In fact, that's why I created, IMAP, which is the Internet and Mobile Marketing Association. I gathered all the digital players in the industry and said, we have to grow digital in our country. And I was very lucky because I was the one who gathered them. They made me the president. We started the Code of Ethics of Digital Marketing Practice. We want to recognize the best-in-class digital marketing award, so it's called the Boomerang Award. We created the education certified digital marketer education program, among many others, so that we will be able to grow the industry.
Our Mr. and Miss Chinatown Philippines are
Jacob Muñez,
Joy Woo,
Moises Lini Yuen,
Marike,
Jonathan Chansong, and
Nina Lee,
Justin Yap, and Miss Cassandra Chan.
Are you the next Mr. and Miss Chinatown? Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. #Beyond Borders is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro Premier Nutrition Inc., Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner, Japan Parts Trading Center, Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities. For your copying and printing needs, it must be sharp. Philippine Sipyok Songlin Musical Federation Association. Vespo Pipes and Luftonic Air Purifiers by Tech Global Incorporated. Landlight, your total lighting solution. Chua Beng Teng, Alejandro Ko, Jimmy C, Nung Family, Enrique Chua, Lee Pue Chin, Albert Ko, Stephen Sia, Rosalina Yasay, Anson Tan, Sherwin Choi. Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
They call me the father yung mga kabatch ko. Pero the younger ones, they call me the grandfather. Right? So but I always say I'm not digital. I'm not techie. I don't even know how to create a website. I'm a businessman and a marketing person. I would always say that a carpenter should know all the tools, right? Should understand all the tools. When I was trained in marketing, there was no digital. It was TV, radio, print, out-of-home PR, right? All of these traditional methods, and then digital was there. It just so happens that there is this new tool, and I have a good working knowledge of it, and I know when to use it and when not to use it. Social itself is very broad from again the different platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, among many others, right? And at the same time, you also have e-commerce right now, which is now being an anchor platform. Shopee, Lazada, and all other e-commerce websites are now part of the marketing process flow. So it has really exploded, right? And that digital verse is now a world of its own. And really, a marketing professional should know how and when to use it. I always believe that it's always a balance between the theory and what I was taught in school, and also my entrepreneurial mind. I think I would always say that entrepreneurship is part of the blood. If you look at the jobs that I've taken on, these are really more challenging jobs, which means, for example, we're not market leader. We would always be number 3, number 4, number 5, or nothing. and then I would fight my way up. And because of that, I've always seen myself also as a rebel. I would do things very non-traditionally. If I know that, I mean, like any rule book in marketing, right? The number one rule of marketing is to be number one. The number two rule of marketing is that if you cannot be number one, find a category where you can be number one. And by doing that, I begin to look at opportunities differently. And hopefully these are new opportunities, new paths or avenues that we can create new businesses. Even when I created IMAP, people are saying, you're so noble. You're so noble that you created the industry, and now it has flourished, right? And of course, I said, oh yeah, thank you. But the reality is, it's just actually, I created because I want Yahay to survive, right? I'm selling websites and no one wants to buy. So I now ask the entire industry to help me sell it. I always take on what I call dark horse opportunities. So dark horse meaning people are not expecting you, you're not any of the leaders, you find real opportunities. How will you be able to overtake? Because in reality, if you take the number one, the number two, number three leaders head on, you will not make it. You can't go against their strength, their defensive systems that are already in play, the people that they have, so you just have to be creative. Regardless of what you do in digital, always make sure that you're part of a bigger system, part of a bigger organization. In the end, you have to be appreciated by the entire organization. You have to drive sales. You have to understand that when you do something in digital marketing, there's an entirety of digital in the entire organizational process, all the way from HR, finance, all of them has to be digitized also. A digital marketing professional should understand that their understanding of digital is not only just for the marketing side, because they can know how to buy social media ads, right? Or how to understand the digital consumer, but they can affect that same thinking with the entire organization. They can create better operational processes, synergies within the organization. So, and I believe, a digital marketing person is a digital transformation agent in the organization. Right now, I always say I'm moving a bit out of my zone already of marketing. I think I'm more operations. I'm more really looking at leadership roles in organizations. I really appreciated going the corporate route. In fact, if I were to live my life again, it would be the same. The corporate route allowed me access to so many people, so many mentors, and the experience that I learned from my colleagues in the corporate world is very different from if ever I would, for example, stay in Divisoria and run my dad's business. That would be, I would think, a more comfortable world. I would just take on the business. I would do the business day in and day out, and that would be nice. But I think that thirst for challenge and learning really outside my comfort zone. The biggest learning, the biggest advantage is really your network. You get to expand your network tremendously, all the way from government people, all the way to corporate, and then again international individuals, who are also at the top of their game, and you learn from their perspective also. 10 years ago, I was very much blinded by, I need to win this award. Then you begin to realize, after, for example, I won so many awards, in my 30s, and I realized, okay, now what do these awards mean? They're sitting on my shelf, but what do they mean, right? And you realize that again, pardon the cliche, with great powers come great responsibility. I'm not saying I have great powers, but the network and the access I have, I realize I can put that to better use. So I think that maybe, hopefully, what's next is, some people, know very early on what they want in life and their mission and purpose in life, right? For me, I'm not sure, right? I still continue. I try to make sure that wearing my corporate hat, which is still my bread and butter, I will continue to give my best to the company I serve, to the chairman I serve. to the businesses where I have most of them, not a majority, right? Minorities, like I will try to contribute and bring value, and also at the same time learn from them. To the different organizations, social civic organizations and trade organizations I'm connected with. I'm there hopefully to help them effect change, what they're trying to espouse and what they're trying to transform, in their little way, the Philippine ecosystem. Right? And of course in school, hopefully I get to teach my students well so that they become contributors in our society. Right? So sometimes you don't have to have a very clear goal, because sometimes, I would always say life has a way of throwing curveballs to you, and you just take it as it is. What is more important is that day in and day out, you try to give your best in everything that you do. Right? You try to give a positive effect to more and more people. You try to uplift their lives in whatever way or form. Right? And hopefully we can have a better country after that. I don't want to over-discipline them. I think the world is also different. But there are certain principles and values that I want them to take on. Like, for example, very fundamental respect for elders. Like when my kids would say, "Why do I have to visit my grandma every Sunday?" I said, "No, because that's my mom, that's my parents. I visit them, you visit them also, right?" And that was also instilled on me when I was younger, when my mom would visit her parents every Sunday also. Right, so it's really that. I think respect, know where you came from is very important. I think even the Chinese heritage is very important. So even if they don't like speaking Chinese, we don't speak Chinese at home. To our fault again, we grew up in a family where our parents would always say, "You speak to me in Chinese or we don't speak." Right? But now it's harder to train. Now the reality is harder to train our kids to speak. So we speak to them in English. But at the same time, we're forcing them to really learn the Chinese language. So there are some extra classes that we're giving them so that they can attend and their language. So it's a bit different. But at the same time, of course, again, the principle of living a humble life. We can buy a lot of things that they want, but we're very choosy what we give. So if they want something, we would always say you have to earn for it. We always tell them to be frugal. So, and I think I'm proud of my kids. They don't ask much. So because they know and I live that kind of a lifestyle, they know also that the happiness in life is not from all the material things. So we teach them how to save. We teach them how to appreciate life by the experiences rather than what they have, or what they could buy. So I think I'm kind of happy with that mindset, what I have trained them. They're very simple. They wear shirts. They don't nag me already for if they want anything. They already, I think they're old enough to know the what's the worth of each, and if they don't need it, you don't have to buy it.
I think that the legacy of Mr. and Miss Chinatown is to promote our culture, even if so many generations will go pass by, they still have that culture, the rich culture of the Chinese. Aside from that, so we have to go as one, we have to lift each other up and help one another. At the end of the day, we all wanted the same thing. We all wanted to have a better community, a better home, a better place to live in.
Mr. and Miss Chinatown promotes connection between the Chinese community, and also it's a good platform to be able to connect with the Filipino community as well.
It's a movement rather than ordinary pageant. It's a movement with a cause to build bridges and to break all the misconceptions between two cultures.
One thing I love about Mr. and Miss Chinatown, they really advocate the characters of each and every candidate. They don't just show how beautiful we are or how pretty we look on camera or on stage. They emphasize what we are as people and what we can offer to the community.
How our Mr. and Miss Chinatown Philippines are
Jacob Muñez,
Joy Woo,
Moises Lini Yuen,
Marike,
Jonathan Chantong, and
Lina Lee.
Justin Yap and Miss Cassandra Chan.
Are you the next Mr. and Miss Chinatown? Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Everbilena, PG Flex Linoleum and Mariama Tarpaulin, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro Premier Nutrition Inc., Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner, Japan Parts Trading Center, Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities, Philflex Wires and Cables, Landlight, your total lighting solution, Chua Beng Teng, Alejandro Ko, Jimmy C, Nung Family, Albert Ko, Stephen Sia, Rosalina Yasay, Lee Hongming, Chiang Kai-shek College Batch 21 Guanghui Alumni Association, Mary Ko, Andy Cheng, Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
It's really that mindset. We are not Western. We are more global already in how we perceive the world. So we're a bit more open-minded to a lot of things. I think right now, for me, it's really, for example, like the certain fundamental values and truths, like do not harm any person. I think do not judge.
Okay, Asian baby girls are a Western phenomenon, I think. Okay, here, yes, there is a certain standard for Chinoys, like boys should be a certain way, girls should be a certain way. If you don't fit that mold, you tend to get ostracized. But I think that even for people who don't fit that mold, as like, for example, Asian baby girls, as long as you fit the masculine-feminine mold, you're more likely to be accepted versus somebody who doesn't fit the mold but does not fit the gender role.
When we consider Chinoys who are very westernized. So the older generation will say, you know, you're drifting further and further away from our community, and that's not good because you have to be rooted in our community. So the older generation might see it that way, but then among your peers, maybe it's less of an issue. But you know, maybe in the end, it's about, are you successful in what you're doing? Maybe that's the more important benchmark, no? Not whether you're westernized or not whether you're still very Chinese.
Modern Chinoy has full appreciation of where he came from, knowing that the Chinese roots and the Chinese blood is so much there that it makes that person special. My dad would always say, you cannot replace 5,000 years of history, and that's in the blood. Your bloodline is so different. And I would say, I don't care. It doesn't matter. 5,000 years or 500 years, it doesn't matter. But he says, it's different, right? The bloodline of a Chinese, because of that history, that rich history, right, gives you a totally different perspective.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders was brought to you by Doña Maria Brown Rice, my kind of rice from SL Agritech. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities.